Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm slacking off again, but it's what happened, like I said, like Heartland Week, I don't have any videos to do. I did think of one list, I'm doing that today, and then there's going to be no video tomorrow. So, but Walton's, hopefully you will get 3 to 4 videos. We'll see. So anyway, this video was kind of on the historical side behind what's happening, not necessarily the history of the series and how it became B-series, but like the history of the time that it takes place in. So Road to Avonlea takes place in the early 1900s. The years that we can figure it out because in season 7, the last season, it's 1911. Because when they open up the foundling home, it says it's founded in 1911, which means that 6 years have passed since the first season, which makes the first season take place in 1905. By this time, there would have been very few provinces in Canada. We would have had BC, Alberta and Saskatchewan would have just come in 1901, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Islands. So we would have had 8 out of 10 provinces. That does not make sense. BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and so on. We would have had 9 out of 10 provinces, as Newfoundland did not be joined to Federation, I think, until it was either 1945 or 49. It was after World War II. And the territories, I don't think were put to Canada yet. If they were, correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a long time since grade 7 social. And Canada was still a member of the British Empire. We still are, but we have what's called sovereignty and self-determination. Is we are now allowed to control our own affairs, whereas in those days, Britain kind of had control, the final say on things. And we didn't even have our normal flag. We had the red ensign, which actually had the British flag in the corner, like we see some parts of, like we see some countries that are part of the British Empire still have those, like Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, places like that. And as for women voting, women didn't have the vote, but there was women's suffrage, as we see in the episode, where, I don't remember what the episode's called, but it's when Janet decides to become a suffragette. So there was women's suffrage, but women were allowed to own businesses, although that was very rare. Most of them would have been teachers or housewives, as we see. And women becoming doctors was also very, 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 very difficult. And this is not the first TV show we see this in. We see this in one called How It Took Place at the Same Time, and we see this in The Waltons. Now, The Waltons, it's a little, the guy, when Marion wants to become a doctor, the guy does say it's a little tricky for women to become doctors, but it wasn't as tricky as it was in those days, because that wasn't a job women did. Women weren't doctors, women weren't lawyers, women were teachers. They would have owned a business or like a store or something, or they were a housewife. They didn't have jobs like that. So we see that quite a bit, and we also see the difference between rich and poor. We see that very clearly in this show, because that was when it was very easy to distinguish. Now it's a little bit more hard. It's a little more difficult. So anyway, that's going to be it for this video. That's kind of the culture around those times that Road to Avonlea takes place in, even though the show was filmed in the 90s. So be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, stay tuned for next week, Walton Week. Yeah, see you then.